Thanks for doing that, by the way.
Yeah, of course. All right, guys. So today is our Greatness Mastermind meeting, talking about our limitations and some of the ways that we're going to overcome some of those. Um, Anybody want to start in particular? Because I really don't want to start.
I mean, since I just walked back over here, I'll go. I was muting our TV. It was a little
We don't need Despicable Me in the background.
loud.
Hey, I
Okay,
was
so
watching Sleepy
you guys
Hollow.
want to
So.
do like a all for one, or do you want to do like the stories we told ourselves, go around the room, and then do like how we rescript it, go around the room? What do you think is best?
Just do
All for
like
one.
all at once, I
Oh,
think.
you just want me to rip it like a band-aid. All right.
Yep, let's rip it
Gonna
like a band-aid, but let's have good conversation, guys.
leave. Okay. So I really liked the first TED Talk. I thought it was really super intriguing. And also, if any of you have ever seen the movie Brave, she looked just like Merida.
Right.
I was thinking about it the whole time.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one who thought of that.
Okay, so the stories that I usually tell myself were a lot of the same themes that she kind of mentioned when she got rejected from the university. So it was kind of the same couple where this is really hard to talk about, but I'm not good enough. My self-worth comes from other people. I am not powerful or smart enough to make changes by myself, and my self-confidence will never get better. So these are like the four main themes of Cammie's life that I have always told myself. Um, and it's never been like other people telling me these things, which like I never realized until I watched this video that like no one's ever said like you're not good enough or like your self-confidence sucks. But it's always been like the things that I guess believe about myself or have always kind of thought were there. Um, but then once I launched into the next two videos, the next two TED Talks about how it's all about perspective and everything that we, encounter can always be changed for the better and put a positive spin on it and that sort of thing. And the thing that was really kind of hit home for me was like my flaws and my mistakes don't define me. And once I heard that, it was kind of easy for me to flip flop all of the stories that I told myself into things that were a lot more positive than what they were originally. So my first one was I'm not good enough, and I rescripted this to I am good enough for myself. So not taking into a fact that other people might not think that I'm good enough, but I think I'm good enough for me, and that's really the thing that matters. The second one was my self-worth comes from others, and I rescripted this to be my self-worth comes from above, um, meaning like my faith-centered thing, like my self-worth doesn't come from here on earth. That makes sense. My third one was I am not powerful or strong enough to make changes alone. And I rescripted this to say I am capable of finding resources and inner strength to make changes. And then my last one was my self-confidence will never get better. And I rescripted this to say I can chip away and slowly get better at my self-confidence over time. So kind of changing them into SMART goals because that's all I know how to do nowadays.
That was our life.
But I just thought it was a really interesting and unique way to like take the things that we think we know about ourselves and rewrite them so that while they might be the same message, they're more so in a positive light and they're more so about like steps and ways that we can make them better and make them actual positive changes in our lives. So I really liked this assignment, actually, as hard as it was for me to sit down and write down these things on paper. But anyways.
Good job, Cami. I'm so proud of you. You're an amazing person. Never forget it.
Oh, thanks, Cam.
Anytime. So I'll go next. So there were quite a few things that I decided to write down for this, but in the end, I wanted to focus on one. The reason I wanted to focus on that one is because it's something that like has driven. How do I put this? It's affected me throughout most of my life in different aspects, but it always kind of pops up, and it goes right along with Cammie's of, you're not good enough. Keep pushing harder. Um, the latest stumble I had with this, I guess we could say, most people don't know this. I actually didn't pass the BOC the first time I took it. I took the BOC. I was very overconfident. I'd had multiple people tell me, like, you're ready to take the BOC, you kick ass, you're awesome, go crush it. Like, you know what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'd had all these awesome experiences. So I studied, but I didn't think I needed to study as hard as I did. I got really overconfident myself, took the test and missed it by like less than a question. Literally less than a question. And that was one of the most like heart-wrenching things in the entire world. And I really thought to myself, like, am I really meant to do this? Like, am I good enough for this? Why am I doing this? It really took a toll on me. And it really made me double think about everything I've now done up to this point with my life. So, my biggest thing when I started writing this out was, I'm not confident enough in my clinical skills because I still question myself now. And a lot of that stems from me not passing the BOC the first time. Like, before that, I had all the confidence in the world. And now I'm like, well, am I doing that right? Did I make that assumption right? So I wrote to myself, am I confident enough? Like, I'm not confident enough in my clinical skills. So then I started sitting down and I thought about it, and I really wanted to find a good way to reword it. But it kind of came down to like Cammie's was, about chipping away, but in different words. Mine was just building upon my own confidence every day. So understanding and reflecting on everything I've done throughout the day. And if I do doubt myself, look it up. Remind myself that, yes, you are doing this right. You don't need to call somebody to look at it and give you a reaffirmation that, yes, you were correct. Like, follow your gut. I've been right before. I'm going to be right. And if I'm not right, it's okay. And that's something that's really hard for me to accept, is not being okay. Like, not like being wrong and accepting it. So yeah, mine is just building my confidence, just one piece at a day, through my clinical practice.
Do you think this is just work related for you, or do you think it
Oh,
extends
no.
to other areas of your life?
It is not just work related.
I was just curious.
There's times that, like, we've had this conversation in our group chat before. I put pictures of my child all the time in our group chat, just because I love him to death and he's the most amazing child ever. And I might be just a little bit biased. But, one of our classmates one day said, basically asked, like, how hard, like, she doesn't know how I do this, like how I can be a family person and do the DAT and be a GA and do all these different things. And, I kind of brought up, like, there are days that I don't feel like I'm a good dad or a good husband, or, there is the self-doubt that creeps in there. So I wouldn't say it's just like my clinical, that's just at the moment what I'm trying to focus on. Like, just because I try to focus on being a good dad and a good husband every day. But for all intents and purposes of the program, like, just for my program goals, I wanted to focus on a clinical standpoint, because I do have my life goals. I definitely have life goals. But that's kind of where I'm at with those. So trust me, it's an everyday struggle.
Chipping away.
Yep, just chipping away. Who's next?
Who wants to go next?
Come on, guys, rip the Band-Aid off. Let your feelings go. Let it go.
I'll take it.
There you go. There you go, buddy.
So my story that I always tell myself, and I've told myself this since I was a kid, is that I have to make everyone happy.
Mm.
And that's probably the hardest thing to do.
Chose the wrong profession, Jordan.
Yeah, I know. It still gets to me too when I have to, keep a patient out from playing, but I know it's for the best.
Yep.
But I've always had that mentality that things are better when everyone's happy, and try to make everyone happy. And I've done that in high school where there was group work and they didn't want to do the work. So one, I thought grades were really important back then. But two, it was just a matter of I'd rather just do the work and everyone be successful. But the way I make this sound is like everyone in my life needs to have some sort of happiness. And if I can provide it that way at my expense, then it'll be okay. And thinking back on it now, I realize that it's more of you can try to make people happy, but you have to realize that you can't make everyone happy.
Do
I like
you?
Go ahead, Cam.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'll go next.
Oh,
We're like,
okay. I was just gonna comment on Jordan's.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have that same issue a lot of times. I'm very much a people pleaser, so I can relate with you very, very well on that front. I was always that person that helped others, always that person that did all the group work. But like one thing that I've noticed about you, Jordan, is like you may not do all the group work, but you are still one of the most like if somebody's upset, you're right there trying to help them, and I commend you for that. Like I think you found a good medium. And I just wanted to like say that you're awesome and like way to go for that, because it's really hard to find that happy medium between like not giving up everything of yourself, but also finding a way to make others happy. So I think you're doing a great job personally, because I've seen it.
I would say to and Cameron, I think that's a really good comment, especially since we don't spend as much time like in group stuff with Jordan, obviously. But I would say that something that's hard to do, and once I personally came to like figure out a way to get through something like this, that it's hard at first, but you can do it, is like that there might be times where you literally have to completely say that, like, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Like, I cannot be there for you. I'm sorry, I can't, because it's just like, because you just have too much on your plate. Because I've literally spread myself so thin. My parents literally thought there was something legitimately wrong with me, and started rattling off all the things, like all the people who were like weighing things on me, and they're like, no, like it's like you need to tell. Because then I got to a point where I would just like pick up anytime anybody had any issue. I just kept trying to like fix everybody's problems, and like, yeah, everybody appreciated it and it was great, but I was about to die. Like I could not, like I was like a walking zombie because I had expended all of my, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was like a walking zombie. I had no emotion, nothing. So like, and then I got to a point where I had to start just saying like, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. Like, I'm sorry, I can't. And like eventually like a little life started coming back, and I felt bad about it. But once I explained to others people, like, I'm sorry, I just can't, like, I have too much on my plate right now. Like, I care about you. I want to, can't. And they were like, oh no, it's okay. Like, and it realized like, you don't always have to be the one to like, expend all that energy, because you will get to the bottom of the barrel. And a lot of times people don't realize that you're struggling until you're at the bottom of the barrel. So just don't be afraid if you're ever starting to question how much energy you have left, like don't be afraid to like give yourself that moment to like just say no to something, and it's amazing the little bit of life that starts to grow back inside of you.
Maybe not just like saying no to something, but like also spending some time of the week on your own personal happiness. So I would challenge you to like extend that a little bit into like, know that you're not going to make everybody else happy all the time, but also take the time to focus on my own happiness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Happiness.
Cool.
My turn now.
Kim, you want to go?
All right. So these are probably like the deepest things I've vocalized ever. So I'm just gonna read them because literally don't have the strength to even like, yeah, I'm probably gonna cry. So here we go.
You got it.
One is I am too assertive / aggressive and everyone thinks I'm a bitch. The second one is I'll never be understood. The third one is I won't relate to any of my cohort or classmates because I'm culturally different. The last one is I can't be myself because people will think I'm trying to be Black and they will judge me. So I basically just rewrote it in like a paragraph. So the way that I went about it was like, okay, if nobody had ever said anything negative to me, like, and I didn't think about that, how would I feel about me? So that's what I kind of used to like rewrite. So here we go. My cultural differences make me a necessary and unique piece of the DAT puzzle. My assertiveness is a gift and it inspires others to fight for what they believe in. It also allows me to make those around me feel protected, safe, and secure because they know I will fearlessly advocate for and protect them. I am not a bitch, I'm a badass. People around me may judge me because I'm different, but that constitutes close-mindedness, insecurity, and ignorance within them, and that does not equate to insufficiency or problems within me. The only person who has the right to shut me up or box me in is myself, and I've never liked to be confined. I know who I am, and I'm amazing, and I give myself full permission to live without limits.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna go and not talk. Like, right, like, mic drop.
Nothing to say. Like
I'm like, so I'll go now. Awkward.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was like the
loved it.
That was amazing.
10 out of 10. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Okay, so I literally I love that. And I want you to like print this out and laminate in a small form and a large form and like keep one in your wallet and like also post it on your door. And I literally want you to like read this every morning when you wake up before you do anything else.
Yeah.
This is the first thing I want you to do in every single day is just to read that to yourself. If you have to do it in the mirror with like that little girl in the affirmation video where she does that thing.
I
love that.
All the time.
So that's my challenge for you is for the next couple of weeks until we meet again that you read that to yourself every single day. Every single day. Because everything you said in that was, first of all, more eloquent than what I could have said. But second of all, just like the way that you flip-flopped it into something that, like you said, was badass was really great. And I think that really speaks to your character. And I think it also speaks volumes to how you can take something that you've been struggling with for so long and something that is so negative to you and turn it into something that is like magnificent.
Thank you. I think it's hard because like 95% of the time I'm super confident. Like, but that's something that I've literally worked on for years because I was not that. Like growing up, I was bullied and I was quiet and I never said anything to anyone and I never stood up for myself. So like building like the Kim that most people see now, like this was not Kim until I was like 19, 20. So now like I've accepted all of the things that I've like talked about even today, but at the same time, it's like I find myself apologizing a lot for who I am. Like in conversations, I'll be like, I know I'm sorry. Like, I have to think about how to phrase this because I know I can come off strong. Like, my bad. Like, no. Like, I'm not going to keep apologizing for who I am or how I come off or how I stand. Now, does that mean that I'm not going to focus on growth and, like, learning to, like, facilitate conversations in a professional manner so I'm not just, like, spazzing out on people all the time? No. Like, I'm obviously going to do that. And I've gotten a lot better with that. But at the same time, like, I don't apologize for who I am. So a lot of this, like the whole Black thing, like that's been a thing my entire life. Like just because I grew up in the culture and outside of the people that are in my family, like the Black community, like they've always been cool with me. Like I've never had a problem. It's usually with other white people because like I don't listen to the same music they listen to most of the time, or like the same social circles, and it's really hard for me like in Terre Haute because there's just like unless I'm gonna go hang out with my basketball team, like you get what I'm saying? So and it was really apparent, and the two of you were there this weekend, but like when we went out this weekend for Connor's birthday, like super apparent. And I was trying not to be socially awkward and sit in a corner, but like I just didn't know like what to do. Like we were all singing karaoke and it was like country karaoke and I was literally like this is not my environment. I don't know how to breathe right now. Like this is weird. But I think in trying to like keep putting myself in that, like keep going out, keep making myself uncomfortable, like don't be afraid to be judged for that. Like nobody here has said anything negative. Like nobody's been like, oh, Kim thinks she's Black. Like that's never, at least not to my face. So like it's a thing, and that's been a deep rooted thing for years in my life. But I just have to focus on the good part of it, I guess.
Well, I think you're awesome, and I don't think that you should ever feel like you don't fit in with cohort, because I think you do.
Thank you.
We all love and appreciate you.
Also with the whole culture shock, that's definitely an Indiana thing. Country karaoke singing, that's straight out of Midwest stuff. I can vouch for that.
Connor's from Indiana, so
yeah,
deep-rooted country roots, you know?
Yeah. It's just something I gotta learn to, like, it's just new. It's just different. I'm not opposed to it. I just kind of have to learn how to, like, maneuver. And
that's all right. I don't go out with any of the GAs up here, so they all probably hate me for it.
The same.
It's not true.
I stay at home and
have a child and a wife and other things, and I don't even know how often they
go
out.
Oh, they go out like every weekend.
Oh.
Yeah, and every Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways,
we
well,
only have 7 minutes left.
I know. I saw.
Lauren.
Okay. Okay. So my I just had one. It's kind of good enough umbrella that just gets everything. I just moved this as if I.
Do you want me to like hold it so you don't like?
No, it's okay. It's on my lap. So, okay. So mine is, others do not take me seriously. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, this kind of has been like a long time, ongoing thing. And like, I honestly don't know exactly where this came from, but I can like pinpoint a couple things here and there growing up that it was from, but like, I don't know if it's just because like my older sister is very accomplished. She's very like, she's always been like done everything exactly like the way the perfect child does everything. Like following her kind of sucked because I was just like a different person. Like she was just, I mean,
literally cancer research. Like, how can you?
She's literally just
how
got
do you
her.
beat that?
She was valedictorian in high school, and then she went to Virginia Tech and got her. She was number 1 in her chemical engineering class, and she just got her PhD in biomedical engineering, and like has been doing cancer research and all this stuff. And then for me, I followed in her footsteps and took like some of the same AP classes that she took in high school. it's a joke what I did in those classes. And I had one teacher literally tell me, you two are just different. And I'm like, okay. And like, then I don't know, anytime like I would try and like, I don't know. It was kind of ended being like, oh, it's just like Megan's like fun, outgoing little sister. And I was just like, okay. So a lot of, even though my parents always like never tried to compare, but then when I got to college and like tried to kind of, I don't want to say like make something of myself, I then like went into nursing, hated it, did terrible, and then I was like, wow, I suck. So then like when I actually started like when I finally switched to athletic training and like was finally becoming accomplished, I kind of kept telling myself, I was like you're a joke, like you can't do this, like you are not your sister, like you are not Megan, like you are not this perfect human being who can like be. And so even like then going into this program, I was like starting to feel like, oh wow, look at me go, you know, like look at me, I'm doing big things. And then like I would just kind of start to compare myself to other people and be like, everybody else is just so like professional and like, I mean, I'm professional just like a different way. And so I'm just like, who do I think I am? Like, and I'm like, wow, others don't take me seriously. If I am in a group and I'm trying to like suggest something or talk, I get talked over, which it's amazing that people actually talk over me. But it gets really frustrating. I'm like, wow, just like literally nobody takes me seriously. Nobody cares what I'm saying. Like nobody takes me seriously. So as concisely as I can, when I try and like reframe it or like reword it, let's see these words straight before they come out and jumbled. It's like, I am fully capable and I am confident in being a serious professional in this profession, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can do this, I am there. Nobody has ever said that I'm not good enough or that I am not taken seriously or like that somebody does not take me seriously. So it's just kind of from my whole life that's kind of caused me to think that way. But if I really talk to some people, like they're like, oh no, you did great, you did this, like you can. And so if I really think about it and try to pick up the positive things, that like it's gonna be okay. But yeah, that's as concisely as I could do that.
I also think you need to work on like serious doesn't always have to be a good thing, and it also doesn't always have to be a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like for you personally, like being serious is like boring.
I'm just
like not that you're boring, but like, being serious for you is like, boring.
Yeah.
So like reframing the fact that like serious doesn't have to be a good boring thing. That makes sense. Like take it as you will.
Yeah.
I just think you need to stop trying to put yourself in a box. Like if I can just be blunt about it, because that's what I do. Like who defines professionalism? Like who defines professionalism? Nobody. And I see other athletic
boring people
uptight and rigid. Like you need to take a break, drink some coffee, have a deep breath, like breathe. It's gonna be okay. I'm still like, you've seen me in clinic. I have fun, but at the same time, like I think the respect thing that you feel like is more a reflection of how you feel about you than it is about how other people feel about you. Because I've never like heard anybody or say anything like, oh, I can't take her seriously. Like I've never heard that, and I've never seen that. Not to say that you don't feel talked over, like that's valid, but like having fun is not a problem. Like you just be confident in it. Like be your own clinician, be your own person, have fun, have a good time. Like be serious when it's time to be serious, but don't let anybody else's definition of professionalism define you. Like what?
Yep, I agree.
Sorry.
Okay.
Great conversation, guys.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We'll keep this conversation going in our group chat.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
Awesome. Way to be vulnerable. I love you all.
We got through it, guys.
You're all so great. Keep doing you.
Bye.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.